Episode 2 Recon podcast. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez.
What's happening?
Zach Lucero in the house. Actually here now instead
What's
of on
up?
the phone.
Not on the phone.
And Snoop Daniel, my roommate / homie, sitting over here. Snoop, say what's up.
I'm on pain pills.
Recon podcast episode 2. First question, sweet or unsweet? Paul.
Sweet.
Zach, sweet or unsweet?
Unsweet.
Snoop, sweet or unsweet?
The sweetest.
I'm going to go with half and half. Anybody like that? No?
Weak sauce.
No, half and half?
Are you talking about tea?
Yeah, tea, fool.
I don't drink tea.
Oh, Zach doesn't drink tea. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, so you talking like Arnold Palmer, or are you talking just
Arnold Palmer? No, half and half. Half sweet, half unsweet.
okay? Okay.
Twisted tea.
Yeah, the twisted tea. Yeah. Or, Arnold Palmer is, of course, lemonade and tea.
Mm-hmm.
Twisted tea might be Alma Palmer.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, Arnold Palmer is a white man, so that probably started out as very unsweet. It was probably really bland.
It probably was. Thank you, Zach. Getting semi-racist on the
quickness.
on the Recon podcast. On Recon podcast today, we'll talk a little bit about Taco Shack Bowl coming up. It is officially week 1 now, fellas, for the Central Texas high school football season in general here in Texas. So Sunday, first week, I'm sure the kids are excited. They're probably not going to be able to go to bed tonight thinking about the first week of practice. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, usually a walkthrough. Thursday, shorts and helmets. It's a big week. Of course, Taco Shack Bowl going to be on Thursday. This is the 18th Taco Shack Bowl. Last year, it was a very close game, a 21-20 win for McCallum. So the Knights holding the Taco Shack Bowl trophy right now. So shout out to the Knights. I went to go see Anderson scrimmage against McNeil Thursday night. I thought Snoop was going to maybe come by there, but unfortunately that was when his episode was starting. So he actually had to go to the emergency room. But a little bit about Anderson. I was impressed with that they were really doing a lot of running, which is kind of opposite of what we've been seeing lately in probably the past 10 years.
Well, I think a lot of times what people kind of may not understand, I have a little bit of history with this type of offense since I actually played against Coach Goat, who's head coach at Hayes, when he was offense coordinator at San Marcos. And the slot T it's the old school veer, and it's misdirection, and it's run heavy, run centric offense where the strength of the team is usually on the offensive line, but you have so many backs who are going left and right and up the middle. So you get things that are very misdirection to kind of get the defenses off balance, and then they just eat you up on the clock to kind of just drive down the field and score.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong out there. I mean, Anderson was still, they were mostly time in the shotgun, three receiver sets. Just maybe once or twice they got under center and they had a wing back out there, and I haven't seen it since for me personally, we ran that offense back at Westwood back in the Stone Ages when we still had leather helmets.
Man.
Back then. So on the other side of the ball, McNeil Mavericks, pretty much the same offense that I've used to seeing out of them. A lot of four wides. They got a new sophomore kid at quarterback. Also, defensively, they ran a lot of 6 defensive backs. I know that's what Coach McKinley likes to do over there, the defensive coordinator there at McNeil. And that's really speed is the main game for McNeil as far as the defense goes. And I was impressed by both teams, especially the fact that it's the first scrimmage for both of them. A lot of young kids out there, a lot of young. You get your sophomores and your juniors trying to go out there and get their first game action. So
they finally were just trying to hit somebody that didn't have a different jersey than they did. So you kind of beat up on your teammates all 2-a-days and see a different colored jersey and you want to go after it.
Yeah. So I'm expecting the Taco Shack Bowl to be an excellent game. Zach, you got anything to add?
Yeah, they're just trying to hit somebody they don't have fourth period with. I mean, they're just ready to kind of switch things up. But going back to Anderson and that veer, the veer is actually really popular in Austin because it was made famous by Matthew McConaughey in We Are Marshall. So that's I see the veer all the time. I love that movie, so it's I'm very familiar with it.
But yeah, Taco Shack Bowl coming up here on Thursday. McCallum, Anderson. I know on the McCallum side of the football, I mean, everybody's going to be watching Colt Davis, quarterback, senior. And to me, an impressive athlete, Takai Satberry. The one thing I saw that I liked about him was the way he came out of a route and used his hands to catch a football. So I think he's going to be a guy that if McCallum's going to win the Taco Shack Bowl, Takai Satberry is going to be a guy that's going to have a big game for them, in my opinion.
He's going to have to be the big guy because their offense is basically him and Darius Lewis, who transferred to Del Valle, and he's like socially viral right now for plays he made in the latest spring game. So I think McCallum's going to have to run a lot of Cole Davis at quarterback. He's going to have to do a lot of quarterback keepers, and they're going to double Takai. So it's going to be tough for him to get off.
All right, so predictions for Taco Shack Bowl. I'm going to go Anderson by, I was going to say 2.5, like it's a dang line.
Wow. You're setting the line? You're setting the line that low?
I'm going to go Anderson winning the ball game. I'm not going to say a score. I'm just going to say Anderson. If everybody wants to throw a score in, go ahead. Paul?
It's too early for me to throw out scores, but I'm going to follow Chris.
You going Anderson?
Yeah.
Snoop?
Anderson minus 21.5.
Minus 21.5 is the line.
I'm going to go McCallum because y'all picked Anderson.
Okay, so Zach, you think they'll cover? So if Snoop says minus 21.5, Zach, you're going with McCallum cover. Yeah. Okay. Zach, Vandergrift Vipers, you are the sideline reporter for them. You can hear Zach Lucero on the horn every Thursday or Friday night whenever the Vandergrift plays. What are your initial thoughts about the 2019 season for the Vandergrift Vipers?
I mean, I think first if you're going to talk about this 2019 team, you got to talk about the 2018 team and how different of a team that was for Vandergrift. Just the athleticism that they had, the guys they sent to go play football at the next level. Is this something you don't see as much at that type of school? Normally, Coach Sanders is great at sending these guys to very high achieving academic schools. A lot of guys going D3, but you had Spencer Jones go to Army. You had Reese Watson, who's already with the twos at Incarnate Word. I mean, you had some big-name players. So I think it's going to be a very different team. And I think if this team's going to go anywhere, this has got to be Drew Dawson's team. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not the guy that really flashes off the page athletically or, I mean, just physically, like looking at him. But he's the guy that's going to will that team to victory. I mean, he's very careful with the ball. He makes great decisions. He's athletic enough. I mean, he has the winning genes. I me's dad's one of the greatest kickers of all time. So I mean, he just knows how to put points on the board. Maybe not as much as his dad has, but I mean, it's got to be his team. And that defense lost a ton of starters, so that offense has really got to hold it down this year.
And of course, you're talking about Phil Dawson, the great University of Texas kicker. And is he retired yet? I know he was. He just retired, didn't he?
Like he just announced to retire last Thursday.
It was I think he spent like 30 years in the league or something like that.
Maybe he's actually my kicker on Madden Ultimate Team, but he has really low kick power, so I might not keep him on.
Really? They did him like that?
Yeah, it's like real bad. Oh. But it looks exactly like him though, which is real cool.
All right. So Drew Dawson going to be the catalyst for the Vandergrift Vipers, according to Zach Lucero. Defensively, Zach, what do you expect for Vandergrift over there?
I mean, you lose a ton of starts. I mean, Drew Nelson, the safety. I mean, both corners are gone. Spencer Jones, I mean, he was really the heart and soul of that team. But, I mean, you got Mongozi back there. I mean, he's just kind of you talk about Drew Dawson kind of leading in that real fiery Tim Tebow way. I mean, Mongozi's the guy that's going to talk smack. He's going to yell at his sideline and get everybody up in that sort of way, just the fire that he plays with. I mean, I think the history of Vandergrift's defensive backfield and just the way that Coach Sanders coaches them, I think their defense is going to be solid. They're probably just not going to take the ball away as much. And I mean, if they're going to let up some bleeding, it won't be gushing. I mean, but as opposed to last year, they were taking the ball away and shutting people out. I don't think that'll be the case this year. I think it'll be more of a balanced team. But I mean, that Mongozi is definitely the Drew Dawson of the defense, in my opinion.
All right, so Zach Lucero, silent reporter for
Jax
Vandergrift
McCauley
Vipers.
too. I mean, he's someone that's really taken off recruiting wise too. He's picking up a ton of offers. Very quiet, kind of even keel type of guy, but he's the typical Drew Sanders defensive player. Is always in the right spot. Is athletic enough to get to those spots and is going to make the solid plays. I mean, if a guy's going to turn the ball over, it's going to be him. I mean, he always seemed to be in the right place at the right time last year. And I think having a guy like that on your team to complement Mongozi, I mean, Mongozi's going to hit you, and then Jax is going to be able to clean it up. So I think those are the two guys on defense. Like Snoop said, I mean, Jackson McCauley is going to be one of the big name players on that team.
All right, Paul, you got something to add there?
Well, I just wanted to kind of pick at Lucero's brain. I almost called him Sugar because I thought it was funny from last podcast.
We can call him Sugar.
Asuka is a little bit better. So, but no, Zach, I kind of just was thinking about kind of the conversations we had last year. We were on Fanstand ATX. My biggest thing is what does the coaching staff coming from Coach Sanders, how did they establish the consistency of their chemistry to play as one unit rather than individuals? Where does that come from?
Well, I think I kind of want to compare it to the Lake Travises and the Westlakes. So Lake Travis and Westlake are their own districts. So those guys have been playing with each other from Pop Warner, middle school, and high school. They go and implement those systems at those middle schools so that when you get to high school, they already know the system. They've already been playing with each other, and those guys are basically in the same positions the whole time growing up. And Coach Sanders is at both. Is at 4 Points Middle School, and I don't know what the other one is that's real close over there. But Coach Sanders is there. Coach Sanders goes to all those Pop Warner games. Pop Warner is huge in that community. A lot of those dads are still coaching, and their kids are graduated. Their kids are playing in high school. So, I mean, just the continuity they have of the system, the continuity they have of the people that they're seeing to their right and their left, I think that just makes the chemistry go a long ways because it's just been there forever.
Yeah, and this Friday, big game for the Vandergrift Vipers versus Cedar Park. Cedar Park, Vandergrift. Let's go ahead and make our predictions. I want to start with Zach because he's the expert on this.
Well, I'm not going to make a prediction because I'm going to be at the game, so I don't want to be biased. So I'm pulling my Kirk Herbstreit here.
Whatever, dude. That was lame. I'm gonna go Cedar Park with the revenge.
But I want to add, I think that Vandergrift Cedar Park game last year, as big of a win it was for Vandergrift, that game was huge for Cedar Park because that established Ryder Hernandez as the guy for Cedar Park.
Very true.
And if he would have started that game against Vandergrift, I think it would have been a different ball game. So I'm excited to see the progression that he's made through all of last year.
All right, I'll start then since Zach is not wanting to make a prediction. I'm going to go Cedar Park with the revenge. I'm going to play the revenge factor here. Paul.
What I'm looking for is the return of that Black Rain defense led by Ben Bell, and I think that I want to see how they're going to be able to shut down Mongozi. Is it Mongozi? Mongozi. See how Blake Bell can shut down Dawson at QB because I think that's going to be the biggest matchup is Blake Bell against that offensive line.
All right, so Vandergrift against Cedar Park on August 30th. Snoop, do you want to make a prediction?
I got Vandergrift. I mean, they're the 6A program, and they are coming off a win.
All right, so Snoop, Vandy. I'm going Cedar Park. And Paul, once again?
Cedar
Park. And then Zach, of course, just didn't want to make
I think
prediction.
with a lot of – I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty about this Vandergrift program. A lot of young guys are going to get the opportunity. So I think we'll know a lot about Vandergrift from this game. I think we'll know – right, no Isaiah Smallwood. I mean, Drew Dawson had a great season last year, but he didn't have to do too much because because the guy that got the carries late in the game, the guy that got the ball late in the game, the guy that was yelling at the coaches to give me the ball late in the game was Isaiah Smallwood. And I think Drew Dawson is capable of being that same thing, but he just didn't have to do it last year. So he's going to have to do it, and I think he will do it this year. But I think this Cedar Park game it being at the beginning of the season is great. Coach Sanders schedules his non-district games really, really smartly. But I think we'll know really, really early the identity and kind of how this Vandergrift team is going to roll this year.
Well, of course, 13-6A being such a huge district, they only get 2 non-district games. So they got Cedar Park this week on the 30th, and then on September 5th, a Thursday night game, they are at Colleen Ellison before they start off their 13-6A run against Cedar Ridge on September 13th. That'll be a big game for both teams. Really, I mean that could be one of the games that possibly could factor in a district championship. And having that game so early, that's going to be fun to watch on September 13th. But for now, this week, Vandergrift Vipers versus Cedar Park. All right, Recon Podcast, Episode 2. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez. We got Zach Lucero in the house. Snoop Daniel chilling on his pain meds. So this is the most chill I've seen Snoop almost ever, dude. Seriously.
I'm gonna piggyback on that too. Snoop is he's a different human being right now.
Yeah, I mean it's good.
The whole segment.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, I think he was asleep for a little while. The opioids makes him itch. All right, we've talked a little bit Taco Shack Bowl. We talked to some Vandergrift Vipers with sideline reporter Zach Lucero. Paul, we'll make our transition now. You went to D'Hanis, Texas. Is that how you say it? D'Hanis, Texas?
I think D'Hanis.
D'Hanis.
Yeah.
All right. And you went out to the middle of the woods or out in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of men to do your fantasy football draft. You had, and we talked a little bit about on the first podcast, on first episode, you had the number 2 overall pick.
Right.
You were kind of concerned, or you were not concerned, but you were, debating on what you were going to do, Zeke or Kamara, because you thought that Saquon Barkley would go first.
Number 1, right.
But that wasn't the case. What happened?
Now, just shout out everybody out there at Valdina Ranch. Chuck, thank you for taking care of everybody out there. Shout out to all the Maronis, Steve Oliveras. Just say thank you, Eddie. Thank y'all for supporting us here at Recon. Thank you very much. But getting back to that pick, I was a little concerned because I knew the guy ahead of me who was picking, and he's a big Dallas fan. But what ended up happening was the scenario that came to light, and McCaffrey was picked number 1 overall in the draft, and so it made my decision a lot easier just to pick up Saquon and move forward with probably the rushing leader this year.
All right, so Saquon was an easy pick, right?
Oh yeah, easy.
All right.
That's what we said. That's what we talked about when we were ending the podcast last week. I go. I don't want it to be second guessed here. I was like, if it's between Saquon and Zeke, I'm taking Saquon. It was really easy.
Right, and that was a pretty easy call on your part. Of course, we're recording this on Sunday, August 25th, so if you're listening to it a little bit late and for some reason something happened to Saquon Barkley, I just jinxed Paul.
Thank you.
But something did happen to Lamar Miller, the Houston Texans running back. He's going out with he's going out with an ACL tear for the year. Now, Duke Johnson, all of a sudden, stock rises. I heard a name that people were talking about earlier, another Texans running back, because honestly, I mean, Duke is just not a guy that's going to be an every down back. He's just not that type of player.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think the biggest value for Duke is that his ability to catch out of the backfield is going to be paramount, and especially for Deshaun Watson's sake and his lifeline, because his offensive line is just very porous, and that's not his fault. That's on the GM. But getting back to Duke Johnson's stock, it's going to increase a lot, and depending on what kind of league you're in, if you're in PPR, catching out of the backfield is humongous.
Yeah,
so starting off with that point, and then whatever yardage afterwards.
Yeah, I know, Zach. You were starting to talk about it during earlier in our messengers that we got going on, but Paul was telling you to save it for the podcast. What questions did you have?
So my question is, I mean, I've heard in a lot of local broadcasts here just about the types of touches and the amount of touches that Duke Johnson has gotten over the seasons. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's definitely not a number 1 running back. He's not an every down back, but they are very creative and kind of like a lesser Christian McCaffrey type role. Mm-hmm. Just he'll get the handoffs, he'll get the touches. So in a PPR league, would you take Duke Johnson at about the place you would take Lamar Miller?
No, just because of the value that you're getting at, depending at receiver or depending on the running backs that are still available. Because I'm sure Lamar Miller was probably, in our league, he was picked up in like the 5th round. Now, in other leagues, depending on the quality of your opponents, they could be picked up in maybe the 3rd or 4th. But we all know how the lifelines go in the NFL, and in our league, one of our savvier players picked up Duke Johnson in the 12th round, and that's where he saw value because of the potential injury proneness that Lamar Miller was kind of succumbing to. But it pays to do your research, and so if you have that same value early, don't waste it on a player that's definitely an RB2, RB3 possibly.
Zach.
So do y'all think Lamar Miller, you think he's done?
For as far as like an Andrew Luck style retirement, like he's done?
His career is over.
Oh, okay. So Lamar Miller, career over. We know that one person that his career is definitely over is Andrew Luck.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
He didn't die, but pretty
Yeah.
much he retired.
I mean, he retired at the age of 29. I think he'll be
A Texas high school football legend.
he'll be 30. Yeah, that's true. He'll be 30 here in like a couple weeks, I think.
He looks about 47.
He does. And a lot of people are blaming all the offensive line or lack of offensive line that he's had over the years. He's taken a lot of hits. But yeah, that was I don't. It was unexpected, but I mean, honestly, I stayed away from Andrew Luck, and I planned on staying away from Andrew Luck. Just completely, just because I wasn't, I don't want to have a guy on my team that I'm just constantly worried about him getting hurt. That's just not the type of player I want on my squad.
Yeah, I usually refer to players like this. They're glass, and the smallest amount of punishment they get under, and they just break. And then once your body breaks over enough times, it just becomes brittle, and you're more susceptible to those injuries. But something that was taken from the announcement, the press conference that Andrew Luck had, was that he made a commitment to himself that 3 years ago if he was going to be playing with pain during the season, he wanted to walk away. And so now after 3 years, he said that he's had enough, and the joy was taken from the game due to the injuries. And so, best of luck. I mean, the guy is a savvy guy. I graduated from Stanford. I think he graduated with an industrial engineering degree, so he's going to be fine.
Yeah, and, he made a lot of money, so he'll be all right. So, but shout out to Andrew Luck. I mean, if you got to do what you got to do. I mean, I'm not mad at him, but obviously people that are mad at him are the Colts fans. The dude got booed walking off the field after the Indianapolis Colts preseason game. Thoughts on that, Zach Lucero? Would if you were there, you were a Colts fan, you were a huge Andrew Luck fan. I think emotionally, maybe I would get caught up in the moment along with everybody else and start booing this man. But I don't know, man. I just feel that was kind of messed up.
Yeah, the Stratford High School legend. I mean, I think just because the back and forth this whole offseason about when he was going to be back, what was wrong with him, the timetable, the owner saying something about it. I think all that was just kind of annoying as is. And then for this bomb to be dropped, which wasn't part of the initial back and forth, I think it's just so kind of shocking, and it just really caught those Indy fans off guard. And I mean, I think all the people that booed him at that stadium, I mean, as wrong as it is, I mean, you can't tell them that, because I mean, in the moment, and I mean, probably even now, their season is done. And
that's very true.
He went from the comeback player of the year, having a late playoff push, to their season being over. I mean, they didn't get to draft a quarterback. Mm-hmm. They didn't get to try to deal for a quarterback. I mean, if Jacoby Brissett just didn't happen to be there, they would be super done. They would be Lamar Miller done.
Well, they're done, but not super done.
They're so do y'all think that's the first round pick? The first overall pick is the Colts?
You know what? If I were the Colts, I would probably, maybe tank the season. Paul?
I don't think I don't think the Colts are going to have the first pick, and the reason why is because I was watching the Patriots scrimmage Carolina, and Jarrett Stidham, another Texas high school legend out of Stephenville, he started getting all the reps with the 2s and the 3s in that game, and Hoyer was the number 2. Mm-hmm. So what I think may happen is there may be a deal that gets done between the Colts and the Patriots to send Hoyer to Indianapolis as a gap stop.
Yeah.
But we all know this 2020 draft is going to be huge, quarterback heavy, potentially with Herbert coming out, with Tua Tagovailoa coming out. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for them to get out if there's something in that draft.
Zach.
Hey, going back to when Andrew Luck got booed. I mean, that dude's kind of like an awkward guy. His interviews, he's kind of weird. Even his his retirement interview, he was kind of looking all around and stuff, kind of like that Dolphins coach. But he's getting booed off the field. He's surrounded by cameras, and then right as he goes into the tunnel, he tries to high five somebody. I'm like, that's probably not the time or the place. He's going to get snatched if he tries to high five somebody in that atmosphere. But I mean, that's just kind of his personality. He just kind of does it, beats to his own drum, Hey,
man, you know what? If he was trying to high five me, Andrew Luck tried to high five me coming off the field, I'd definitely give him a high five.
I don't really know how that announcement got leaked, but the Colts organization should have protected their player and had their PR team organize this announcement to be more beneficial, so that's not in the middle of halftime in a preseason game in week 3.
Yeah, I do know that Adam Schefter of ESPN was getting a lot of crap on Twitter because of it, because everybody was kind of blaming him. It wasn't him that actually originally reported it, but he was getting a lot of crap for it. But Andrew Luck retiring at age 29, kind of surprising. Not really a surprise to me. to me, the guy's been hurt for the past, 4 years?
4 years.
So if you're hurt, man. So, Snoop Daniel, if you were at the Colts game, would you have booed Andrew Luck?
No, I love Jesus, and he wouldn't do that.
Good answer. Recon Podcast number 2, Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucero, Snoop Daniel. We talked a bit Taco Shack Bowl, Vandergrift Vipers. Now we're getting into the fantasy football. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, fellas. One thing that you're looking forward to this week, whether it be in personal life, football-wise, or just anything at the job. We'll start off with Zach Lucero. What you looking forward to this week?
The biggest college football game of the year this Saturday, 5 o'clock, maybe 6. I'm not sure. Alamo Dome, San Antonio. First time ever, UIW, UTSA. Huge game. All of San Antonio is going to be there. Probably not, but a lot of San Antonio is going to be there. I mean, it's just a huge game. The amount of smack talk that went back and forth, especially after all the success, the conference championship that UIW won last year, and the down season that UTSA had. I mean, everyone has been saying, I went to the Incarnate Word, so the word on the street, UTSA really been ducking Incarnate Word in a lot of sports. Because if you think about it, it's really not beneficial for UTSA to play Incarnate Word.
It's not.
But they finally got it done this year. It's going to be a huge game, and I think that game is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people expect it to be.
All right, so that game, UIW and UTSA, first time ever. Is that correct? Awesome. So that's going to be a huge game down in San Antonio. Probably a big party too. So I'm going to take the easy one. I'm looking forward to the Taco Shack Bowl, and I'll let Paul Rodriguez go. What are you looking forward to this week, Paul?
I'm looking forward to Texas State getting paid to go down and play A&M at Aggieland at Kyle Field, because our new head coach Spavital, who's a OC at West Virginia, is coming in, and I'm taking Texas State plus 34.5 to do it. So I'm looking for a high potent offense. There's not going to be any defense played by Texas State, and I understand that, but I want to see the ball in the air and I want to see touchdowns.
All right, so far UIW versus UTSA. Paul, that's Zach. Paul's looking forward to Texas State, and
that's Thursday night,
and Texas A&M Thursday night at the same time as the Taco Shack Bowl, of course. Anderson versus McCallum. The 18th version. I'll probably be at that game with that Texas State game. I think it's on ESPN Plus, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that.
We'll be at the Taco Shack Bowl.
We'll be at the Taco Shack Bowl, but we'll be keeping an eye on making sure if Texas State can cover that 34.5, because that's what Paul's got. Snoop Daniel, what you looking forward to this week?
2 things. One, my television high school football debut on Fox 7. I don't know what time it is, but yeah, it's my first time doing sports on TV. And my favorite game this week is Eastview versus Westwood on Thursday night.
All right, fellas. Well, I appreciate everybody coming by here. Paul, you looking at me like you're wanting to say something.
I just want to let everybody know, if you're liking the podcast, please go ahead and like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and we'll let you know when we put up a new post.
All right, and we're probably going to come back on a Wednesday night. Zach.
All right, one more. Let's everybody pick probably realistically the biggest college football game this weekend. Auburn and Oregon playing in Jerry World. I think it's Auburn. The line I see right now is Auburn by 3.5. What's your pick, Paul?
Auburn's minus 3.5. Yeah. I'm taking Oregon plus 3.5. You kidding me? With the NFL caliber quarterback? Yeah.
I'll take Auburn. Snoop.
I don't know.
Snoop declines to answer. So I don't know anything about Auburn either. I just picking Auburn.
Well, I'll take Oregon for real, and we got pluckers on this too. So you better hope.
Okay, so wait a minute.
No, you already said your pick.
Yeah, but and I'm not backing off. I'm just saying. So, but both of y'all went on Oregon.
Yeah.
So if I lose, I have to buy both of y'all pluckers, and then if y'all lose, y'all get to split my pluckers,
and you can buy some drinks.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay, so one of y'all gets the food and one of y'all gets the drinks.
Right.
All right, go Tigers.